Hi, my name is Eckerd, and welcome to RPG Retrospectives, a series where I take a look back at old school RPGs and express my thoughts and opinions about them. Dragon Quest is one of the oldest franchises of JRPGs that began in 1986 on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it paved the way for the traditional old school JRPG genre and inspired many games like Final Fantasy. And today, I'm going to talk about the first one, specifically the Nintendo Switch version, since it's the most accessible way to experience this game without the use of emulation. The story is very simple. You start with the main character, which you have to name, a chosen one, who is the descendant of the hero Erdrick, and you must embark on a quest to read the Dragon Lord, who has plagued the land with monsters and taken the Prince of Tentacle, which, fun fact, you don't even have to save in order to finish the game, making her rescue nothing but a side quest. After speaking with the King of Tentacle, you travel the world and visit different villages and dungeons in order to find proof of your knowledge and open the way to Dragonlord's castle to defeat him, saving the land of all evil. As I said, the story is very simple and to the point. You're a chosen one, destined to be the hero of the land and rid of all evil. And by today's standards, that's very unoriginal and there's no depth. But it wasn't meant to have that in the first place. The game itself was a mainstream RPG game, which meant very simple and easy to understand concepts. The downside of having this very easy to understand and simple story is that it barely leaves any room for character development. From the beginning, you are already the chosen one, the hero. It's something you're born with, not something you're earned. There's no personal growth. Not only is he a silent protagonist, he's an empty vessel that can't even be filled with dialogue options or backstory. He's a tool for the player to use to kill monsters and talk to NPCs, barely getting a line at the end of the game just to set up the sequel. But I appreciate some of the design choices, especially in the dialogue. Every character speaks in an old and Shakespearean-like English, making it a fun read. Another very relevant aspect to the hero's journey can be encountered in one town, where there is a bathhouse and a woman that offers a puff-puff service, a special massage for only 20 gold, a reward for the woes that you have endured, an offer that you can't refuse. I mean, you can, but why would you? Once you defeat the Dragon Lord, I love how the dialogue with the NPCs changes. They acknowledge your triumph, and they find peace in the world now. Also how the poisonous marshes that are spread across the land become flower beds, and how there are no longer any random encounters. It makes you feel like you truly saved the world. But on the downside, there's no more puff-puff service. So, is it really worth it to save the world? All jokes aside, I like how after defeating the Dragon Lord, you can revisit the different towns that you've been through and talk to the NPCs and see their new dialogue options now that the Dragon Lord has been defeated and peace has been restored. It's something you don't see often in other RPGs, even to this day. Usually, you beat the final boss and there is probably some post-game content, but it's not like the NPCs acknowledge you being the hero, you actually doing something for the land. Usually, post-game is just an optional dungeon or an optional boss, maybe multiple bosses or multiple dungeons. My point is, usually in RPGs on post-game, they don't acknowledge you defeating the looming threat that you just saved them from. At least not the way that it's portrayed in Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest battle mechanic is just like everything else in this game. Very simple. You have 4 options: attack, spell, flee, and items, with only the hero because there are no party members, and battles are always one-on-one. You defeat the enemy and get some experience and gold. Also, you will spend a good amount of time battling because they designed the game for you to grind levels and money for equipment in order to push through the various difficulty spikes. I found myself grinding a couple of levels every time I reach a new town, and the fact that the gameplay was as basic as it is meant the battles did not last long, so I did not mind the grind. I probably spent at least half of the game grinded, so if you love grinding on RPGs, this will be a fun experience for you. I didn't mind the grind much, especially since mid to late game you can find metal slimes. Small creatures that you can farm for a huge amount of experience, but are very elusive and prone to flee, so you must defeat them as soon as possible. If you're like me and started playing Dragon Quest in one of its later iterations, in my case 8, then you will find the charming art of Dragon Quest recognizable. All thanks to Akira Toriyama for making the designs for the monsters and characters. As someone who grew up watching the Dragon Ball series, it was an absolute joy to discover this franchise and immediately recognize the art style. The music, I say it's the most complex part of the game. Most tracks are amazing with their use of classical instruments, all composed by Koichi Sugiyama. Another recognizable theme across the series that evokes nostalgia from fans of Dragon Quest. There is a piece of music that I disliked, arguably the most important one, the battle theme. It begins with some very loud horns that are not pleasant to the ear. Listen to this. When you spend a good portion of the game having battles that last a few seconds and you listen to this start again and again and again, it gets old very quickly. But besides this theme, I loved every other piece of this near perfect score. Overall, I enjoyed the minimalistic gameplay. I can tell that Dragon Quest was one of the foundations of turn-based RPGs like Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, and many others. Playing this game made me appreciate the JRPG genre even more. Playing Dragon Quest felt like I was playing JRPG in gaming history. And after playing something like Persona 5 Royale for about 150 hours, it was a breath of fresh air playing Dragon Quest, a game that I beat in like 7 hours with its simple concept and mechanic. You can see how the genre had so much room for improvement and develop into what we know today. It might be dated to today's standards, but it's a very good bite-sized JRPG that any enthusiast of the genre should respect and recognize as one of its progenitors. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to comment and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, you can follow me on social media like Twitter, Discord, and Twitch, where I'll do all of my playthroughs. All of them, you can find them in the description down below. Again, thank you so much for watching and hope to see you all soon.